Hello, everybody. My name is Benny the Jet Yukitis, and our topic today is about the art. And we have here, truly Sensei Fire Boards. We were talking about the art the other day, and you had some
Right.
questions.
So one of the things I always wonder about as a school owner and as a martial artist myself, and I wanted to ask you this, is there a difference or a distinction between martial arts and self-defense? And are we, as school owners and instructors, responsible to make sure that students know the difference? And is that first of all, is there a difference in your opinion? Go first.
Well, I believe, first of all, in the art, and martial arts has something great to offer for first timers that never took martial arts before, never trained before. It teaches a foundation. But in the foundation, it teaches not only respect, but there's a code of honor. It teaches them how to be team players. It teaches them, and medically, with flexibility, endurance, and so forth. So it has a lot to offer,
Right.
martial arts. But sometimes in martial arts, it's memorized. And memorized technique is great. But when you are attacked, and memorized technique does not work under that type of pressure. So I believe that it has its purpose, and actually it's a foundation of building a character. Building character is very important, and especially when you're young, you want to build a platform of understanding, of respect, and of honor, a code of honor, and so forth. So I believe it's a great stepping stone for everybody, for kids and women, especially. For even men, but it will give them a way of life.
Right.
It teaches them how to deal with certain things under pressure and so forth.
Right, but just because somebody taking martial arts, a kid, a woman, a man, doesn't matter. Does that know they can defend themselves?
Well, you know what? Again, in defense, you're talking about a threat. If you're not trained under a threat, then how do you know it works when you are threatened?
Right.
So, like everything else, if you're trained under pressure, you're trained with a threat, you get used to it and you're not afraid of it.
Right.
So not being afraid of because it's common for when somebody punches toward your face to either close your eyes or turn your face for protection.
Right.
And we do that automatically. But if your eyes are not trained to look at something, almost like Pac-Man, it comes at you and you're going at it, you have to be trained for that.
Right.
Your eyes have to be trained to attack something and not be afraid of. So, when you're working on defense, you're working on an emotion under pressure. You're working under anger because it brings out the worst of you, so the best can come out of you. That's fear, anger, frustration, anxiety. All these things come up when you're threatened. So only when you're threatened, everything you hide under your bed in your closet always surface.
One of my personal heroes, Mr. Tony Blauer.
Beautiful. So yes,
he's a
beautiful
big fan of yours, and I know you're a big fan of him.
Absolutely.
And what he's done, and he's one of the pioneers who came up with this distinction.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was him that said that, but I love the whole concept of, just because you know how to you can play a volleyball and you're so great at it and you technically know how to do it, it doesn't mean you can go in the water and play water polo. Because
True.
because in
True that
water
is.
there's a whole different level of, you just have to stay off the water, forget the techniques and stuff. So unless those two are kind of the same thing to a beginner eye, that they're both throwing the ball over the net or whatever they do, but one of them is under a lot of pressure, and that pressure is stay up, stay off the water, and he's the one that and I've heard you often talk about that there's a distinction between martial arts and self-defense, and I think a lot of school owners, including myself, we're afraid to come out and say that in the name of, well, we teach self-defense, but most people don't. Some of the techniques are, we're responsible to say, these is arts. We're learning martial arts. Don't go out there and try this in the street, right? And I think UFC was the worst thing and the best thing that happened to martial arts, right? Because the best thing was it brought the kind of a realistic, like people say, hey, you don't do that in a cage. I don't see that. But it took away a little bit of the mystique.
The Bushido away.
You took a little, but with all that, it's good. And it is what it is. And it's not going anywhere. So, but again, how do you, if somebody came up to you and wanted to learn self-defense, would you do anything different than you are in your regular classes?
Not really, because you see, I teach, first of all, I teach the mind how to deal. All right? I give them a direction of how to work technique. Mm-hmm. And once they work technique, the technique means that if you don't block, and when you say defense, because it's about defense, is learning. When I have my students, I actually teach them how to hit the target. If I say hit the nose, aim for the nose. Right. If I say hit the solar plexus, hit the solar plexus. And the reason why is because I'm actually programming. I'm programming without them thinking about it. They're actually hitting target. Now, if they're hitting target, the key is learning how to defend it. Means if I know that if I don't move my head, I'm going to get hit. If I don't block it with my hand, I'm going to get hit. If I don't move my feet, I'm going to get hit.
That's one thing I've always noticed about your classes, that you require a certain amount or high amount of mindfulness. You want people to be mindful. You don't want, nothing against cardio kickboxing and doing all that stuff, but you want to make sure that you are doing what you're doing. Otherwise, you get paid a price, right? You need to be very mindful about what you're doing. And I think, in a way, you're teaching that mindfulness is what's going to save you outside the street. Because if you can be mindful doing, all just basic moves and stuff, defending yourself, if you keep that up and be aware of the situation all around you, I think that's, in a way, you're teaching self-defense also at the same time.
Of course.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to understand that, first of all, if there's no threat, then you don't get used to that threat. And if a threat comes at you, everything you hide under your bed in your closet comes up.
I think that's what's wrong with, and I don't want to say what's wrong necessarily in a way. Wrong.
I get it.
With the way a lot of martial arts schools are, the training is not done under pressure. And when it's not done under pressure, I'm a personal believer, and I know you are, that we react the same way we train. So if we train without pressure, how do we think that's going to come out and respond when it, God forbid, that one time that we need to use it?
How true.
So how do you get someone prepared for that?
Well, it's like anything else. You first teach the foundation of basically how to use your limbs, your weapons.
Right.
And you're teaching them, punching, elbows, knees, kicking and so forth. You're teaching them how to use their limbs in a combat way. And then second of all, you teach them how to block and defend by actually having somebody else kick and punch, but actually training them to kick and punch the target, not in the air. Train and punch the target. And the defense is about either three ways you defend. Either you move your head, you block with your hands, or you move your feet. And so it teaches your eyes, first of all, to see something that comes at you so you don't close your eyes or turn your face. It teaches you how to look at something that's coming at you.
Absolutely.
And second of all, it teaches you when you're getting impact that your body gets stronger so you're not afraid of the impact. Because I have heard students, and I said, "Are you afraid of him?" And he said, "Well, I'm afraid if I hit him hard, he's going to hit me back harder." And so a lot of the time, people hold back because I'm afraid if I hit him hard, he's going to hit me back hard.
Right.
Or if I hit him back hard and he hits me, I'm afraid of my anger.
Right.
I'm afraid that if I get mad, what I might say or what I might do. So a lot of people are afraid of that. And so they become very nice when they're working out or whenever everything's very nice and sometimes too nice.
Right.
Because they don't want that to come out of them. And a lot of people are afraid of their anger. And the art brings the ugliness out of you so the best can come out of you.
Right.
And sometimes, we don't like what we look at or the way we sound or sometimes, and we don't like that part of us. But that's why most people come to the art, because they're uncomfortable with that fear.
Right.
And they hide it well. And then sometimes that anger, and they hide it well. But they come to the art, hopefully that the sensei, the teacher, will teach them how not to deal with it, but learning how to heal it. The difference is between, well, let's deal with this pain, let's deal with this anger or this fear. And it's not about dealing, it's about healing. And when you heal something, it doesn't go away, it just doesn't stop you from your better self anymore. That's the difference.
Right. Well, this is a great subject that I think that we should discuss definitely more and more. And so I appreciate your time this morning. And I know
pleasure.
I always bug Sensei about something, Let's talk about something, Sensei. And so anyway, I think, so this would be a great subject to discuss. And let us know your feedback about what you think about this subject. And if you have any questions and stuff, let us know in the comments section. And we'll talk to Sensei again. So thank you, Sensei.
Of course.